They go in there.
Sorry to interrupt you.
You've got a cavity, you go in there, they
Yep.
drill out the cavity, they fix it for you, but they're also going to tell you to brush your teeth, floss, use mouthwash, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is the stuff that you do to maintain,
Yeah.
the whatever.
Aren't you telling your clients how to maintain their transformation? Are you doing it for them, or are you just telling them, hey, you're going to have to go into your life now and maintain what we did? Like when you have a weight
So
loss, which is, I think, your niche, isn't it? You have a weight
no.
loss. Okay, so let's just take weight loss. So we have a weight loss person. Are they going to lose weight on the call? No. Are they going to lose weight the next day? No. Are they going to lose weight in a week? Maybe a pound, but they're not going to have a considerable impact. But what's going to happen is your voice, do you know that line from Erickson, my voice will go with you? Your voice, Cindy's voice, the hypnotist voice will go with them if you do a good job, which is why you're here learning and why you've been training in this, will go with them and eventually they'll lose weight. That's the impact that you have as a hypnotist, and that will happen over a long period of time. That's what they're paying for. They're not paying for the 2 hours that you help them to figure out how to get on that trajectory. I mean, it's funny. I used to be a real estate agent, and so people would complain, all the time, especially at parties and in social functions, oh, realtors get paid, why do you deserve 8 grand off of my $200,000 house or whatever? And like, people don't understand the commission is paying for all the people who don't close on that house and all the people who didn't close with you otherwise and all the mistakes that were made along the way. It's not just for that closing that you appear at, it's the whole investment, the whole career. So when people are coming to me with something like stuttering or headaches or whatever it is, I'm keeping them safe in that little bubble. I'm making sure that their problem is corrected quickly, that they don't have side effects, and that the job is done as promised. It's very simple and clean. That's it. I don't really have to think about, do they need me in their life? Because that's not what they bought from me. They don't care about who I am personally. I'm not going to become their friend. I'm not going to become their, mentor, whatever. That's not my job. So they're not buying me, my time, or my energy. They're buying this moment where our lives cross and they shift directions. And if you read my reviews, that's why I publish them daily, and you should too, that's what people are saying. The one I published today said, I would have paid you 10 times what I paid you. That would have been $25,000. Okay, really? So she wanted to pay me 10 times more just for what that's how much it helped to get out of that bad marriage and that whatever it was I can't remember what the situation was in that one, actually. I think it was a divorce. It was. It helped that much. So why do I have to also sell them, blah, 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 and X and Y and Z? I don't. Let's see. Oh, we're already a few minutes late. Well, I'll give it one more minute. Did that make sense? There's a lot of people in this group, but I guess some of them are watching on Kajabi, so I don't want to start with all of them, but I also want to start. Okay, go ahead. What did you think? Did that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it's just it is a different
I was just going to say, of course, the question for you is, why don't you believe that your level of professionalism is now transcending hand-holding? That's the difference, is you've been a hand-holding type of therapist your whole career, and that takes a lot of energy. And bottom line is, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to charge by the hour for all the reasons that I'm going to tell you in the next 90 minutes. So if you're over hand-holding people and you're over coddling and listening to people complain and the rest of it, which is fine. I have a therapist I do that with. I'm not saying there's something wrong with it. It's just not what I want to do with my life and my time. And I only go to her in specific instances where I know that that's what I need. I don't always want to be ACH'd. Sometimes I want to sit down and be like, fuck him, and that sucked, and shit, fuck life. And her be like, yeah, okay, great, $100, fine. But that's not my product.
Yeah.
I've changed my mind, and if you want to be at that next level of income and at that next level of respect, I think it's a higher level of respect, to be honest, then you have to change what you believe is your contribution. Which is exactly why I got addicted to the ACH, because that's what I was always resistant. I always wanted to be a therapist or something, but I didn't want to sit down and listen to people's problems all day. So I kind of went around it this way, yoga teacher, this. Then I got into ACH. I was like, perfect. I get to have that contribution. I get to be there as the soul that I came to be, which is what I think I'm meant for. But I don't have to like circle the drain with people. Okay, let's start and we'll go back to that question. So welcome, you know who I am, Dr. Maya Alapin. I'm not a medical doctor or a mental health care practitioner. Okay, I got a lot to say today, so I'm gonna, as usual, talk kind of fast. Interrupt me, ask questions, whatever. The course outline, some of you are new today, and if you're watching on the video, watch the last one, of course, as well, because they're going to build, right? So it's a 12-month course. Each one, we're going to add skills until your business incubates into a chicken. So right now, it's like, eggs and chicks that are in various levels of whatever growth. So what we're going to do is the first Friday of every month, we're going to do what we're doing now. I'm going to talk, we're going to put out ideas, we're going to troubleshoot, you're going to do your homework with me, blah, 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 like school. I love school, so that's not a big deal to me. The third Friday, we're going to work on the practice of delivering the service. Why would I keep that in the incubator? Why didn't I just get rid of that? Because the basis of the incubator is this hypnosis model, and the speed and confidence with which you deliver it has a lot of impact on your success and on the money that you make. So it's one thing to develop the back end, it's another thing to improve the service. So I'm testing out this thing where I'm going to do both at the same time. In terms of the back end, we're going to do the system, the client care, the back end, the package, the brand. How to run it all at once is a good question. So that's part of that as well. Okay. So just a little review on what we did last time. So the main tenets, I'm just going to check my Facebook and make sure nobody is looking for us or confused. I think the link is pretty easy to get. Okay, so tenet 1 from week 1 or month 1 was go first. Okay, so everybody get into your mind that as what Cindy was just asking us, well, how do we change the model? Okay, well, change it. Like that's the whole beauty of being in this community and having this venue is, yes, I am saying I'm going to do something that other people are not doing. And by the way, that's why people buy the product, because I am going first in my belief system as well. I mean, it's pretty fucking crazy to be like, hey, I know I have 2 small children. I have been a lifelong realtor. I think I'll open an online hypnosis business. Like, that's a little nuts. It takes a lot of guts to do that. That's going first. Then people observe you going first, being like, oh, that's a new model. Oh, that's a new claim. Oh, that's a new approach. And then they think in their head, well, that's somebody who knows something about doing what it is that I need, which is to go first in my life. So the going first is essential for many reasons, the main one of which is priming. The other one of which is how to create some kind of attraction, how to create people being interested in what you do. So go first. I don't want to reteach the whole thing, so go watch last one if you didn't pick that up. Second tenet of running this business, iteration model. Iteration model. Keep trying something, try something new, repeat. Something fails, go back and edit it. Don't overthink it at the outset. Work retroactively or retrospectively, improving yourself constantly so that you have cash flow and feedback in your business that helps you actually make decisions and do things. If you have no input and you have no idea what you're working with and you have no cash, you're fucked. It's over. It's over before it started. So very important to iterate in this model and not perfect it. That's tenet number 2. Tenet number 3 goes hand in hand with that. Failure model. You got to fail. Gotta fail at everything in life. How many times did we all fail? Quitting smoking, quitting, addictive behaviors, quitting our fucking stupid scrolling addiction. We're all doing it constantly. We're all constantly failing at our goals, right? But the point is, use the failure model inside of business to keep on editing and keep on up leveling and improving. So whatever it is that you're not happy with in your life and your business, change it. Use it as feedback. Fail and improve. Every great person in our whole, role model directory has been a failure before they were a success. It's just the way it is. It's just the law of physics. You have to learn something before you get good at it. So that's just how it works. Number 4, tenet 4, asymmetry. Asymmetry, I've been looking at all of the people in this group, checking out your social media and, trying to figure out how I can help you. Nobody's doing it. Even I'm not doing it that well. You have to do more things that create more vibes. Posting once never works. Posting 10 times does not work. We're talking about like finding the niche or the action or the group or whatever it is that's really cash friendly to you, and really using that a lot to create a ballast for your business to grow on. If you don't have that asymmetry going, there's no way to get enough momentum to actually get ahead. You'll always be running behind your business. You need to be running in front of your business, which is fucking hard, let me tell you, but it doesn't work otherwise. So the asymmetry model, essential. Okay. Inside the asymmetry model, there must be a calendar. If you do not operate from a calendar, you are not in business. Hate to break it to you. If you've been in business for 20 years without a calendar, you're fooling yourself. You must have one. I'm going to teach it in month 3. I'm going to actually share my screen and create a calendar with you the way I create mine, which I think is a patented model at this point because I'm a really addicted calendar creator. But as you go through this next month, think about it. Think about prioritizing the asymmetry and putting that in a concrete form on a calendar so that you know what to do every day instead of trying to figure it out every morning, because that shit does not work. I'm going to even do the calendar, by the way, before I do branding, because you don't need a brand if you don't show up. There's no point in having a brand if you don't actually know when you're going to come to the office and sell it. So you must have your calendar organized, in my opinion, before you even have a logo or anything else. So we're going to work on that. Okay, the homework that I assigned from last week was, what is the MOS of your business? What is the thing that you're selling beyond quitting smoking or migraines or depression or divorce recovery or whatever your niche is? Your niche is your niche, but your MOS is, what is hypnosis actually going to produce? I have yet to have one person come through here out of the hundreds that I've had so far who's like, all that happened is I quit smoking and nothing else occurred. That's not the nature of the mind. The mind doesn't work that way. So it doesn't make sense to tell people, oh, this is what I'm going to sell you, when what really happens is other than that. So I asked you to create that list, and today you're going to figure out why you needed that list in order to create your product. Okay, so I have it in the order that makes logical sense to me. I hope it helps you. The other homework that I gave you on day 2, which was the practice day, was please snapshot your business today or tomorrow before picture. I used to do weight loss. That used to be my thing before I got into hypnosis. So I would coach women through, nutritional programs and all kinds of things. And it was so important for people to photograph themselves before and after for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, if you don't see your business and all the shit that's fucked in it, you can't fix it. So you have to see it. You have to look at each web page. You have to look at each link you have. Karen's a perfect example. Here I am selling this product, and it took her 5 touches with me to get the fucking link to work. That's my problem. That's me making a mistake. That's 20 minutes out of my time that I could have made $1,000 or $2 publishing something that I wasted because my back end is not correct. That's my problem. So it's really important to snapshot your business, look at all the touch points between you and your clients, and have a really clear view, like the clients do who are losing weight, of where you're fat. If they see themselves in the photo being like, yeah, my ass is really a lot bigger than I want, then that tells them I should probably work on that. But if I know you're all laughing, because what happens is the clients are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't care. It's not for looks. Okay, I don't give a shit about that. All I'm saying is be realistic with yourself. I don't care if you're here for looks or not. Just look at yourself honestly and look at your business honestly so that you can change it. It's very simple. It has nothing to do with judgment or anything. It has to do with reality. So I want you to have a snapshot of your business now. So go and take some screenshots, take some notes, look at it, because as you go through these months, you'll see it change, and it'll help you to know that you actually invested to have that proof, so to speak, and the evidence of what you need to do. Okay, so now I'm going to add a few more tenets, and then I'm going to go through the product, which is our main topic for today. And like I said, I'm just going to talk for like 30, 45 minutes, then I'll stop and answer the questions that were posted and any other questions that you have. We'll get through it all in, let's say, 75 or 80 minutes. Okay, tenet number 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're on number 5 right now. Go first, iteration, failure, asymmetry. So that means 4. So number 5. Okay, everybody, very important. Begin. You've been here a month already. Did you do anything? Did you change anything? Did you begin to inquire? Like, be honest with yourself. You have to begin. Okay. Everyone has heard this, joke or whatever it is on the internet, that being an entrepreneur is like jumping out of a plane and building the parachute on the way down. Like, nothing could be more true than that. There's absolutely no way to prepare for what business is going to teach you except to jump. The reason for that is because, in my opinion, this is like an expression of your soul, right? We're not opening a carpet business. We're not opening a real estate business, because those are already made. Like, you go to work at Keller Williams, they're like, okay, here's the Keller Williams training. Okay, here's your badge. You become a little, robot, you do their thing, whatever. This is not that. This is not only a standout business, it's a standalone business expressing you. If there's no brand behind it that expresses you or your niche or your interest or whatever, it doesn't really make that much sense, because rapport is so vital to what we do. So you have to build the parachute on the way down, because how the hell are you supposed to know what that expression of your subconscious is until you find out? So a lot of you are looking at me like, how'd you figure that out? How'd you get this gold theme going? How'd you get this Mama Soul Doc thing? How'd you get your little Snoopy thing? I don't fucking know, you guys. They came to me in my mind through my subconscious because I was listening. I mean, that's like my best answer. I didn't sit down and be like, what color? What's the name? Like, they all were ideas that just came into my soul. So you have to be receptive to your life's work if you're going to do your life's work. Okay, so I'm going to read you just a couple of lines from the screen is weird, but anyway, this book is called Do the Work. Do you guys have it? Stephen Pressfield. So I'm assigning you this book. I'll put it in the group. But I'm going to read you a little, it's a really super readable book, by the way. He wrote it in like vignettes, so you don't have to read pages at a time. It's very useful. Start before you're ready. Don't prepare. Begin. Don't prepare. Begin. Remember, our enemy is not lack of preparation. It's not the difficulty of the project or the state of the marketplace or the emptiness of your bank account. The enemy is resistance. The enemy is your chattering brain, which, if you give it as much as a nanosecond, will start producing excuses, alibis, transparent self-justifications, and a million reasons why we can't, shouldn't, won't do what we need to do. So you have to start before you're ready. Good things happen when we start before we're ready. For one thing, we show guts. Our blood heats up. That's what I was just saying. Courage begets more courage. The gods witnessing our boldness look upon us in approval. I do believe that. Like, I think some of these ideas come from the universe hearing, oh, I'm ready for this, so give me an idea. So here's a quote from W.H. Murray. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Why would I tell you guys that? Because you're all telling me the same thing. There's something ineffective going on in my back end. Okay, until one is committed, there is hesitancy. You're causing your own hesitancy. There's always an ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitively commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from this decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would ever come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can dream, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius and power and magic in it. So begin it now. So here's an example. My course is not selling that great right now. Some of it is because it's January, it's February, it's not a great time. That's an excuse. But I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing wrong? Oh my God. And then a client who's in this group actually posted my training. No, I didn't ask her to, she just did it because she loved it. In some entrepreneurship group, what happened? Yesterday, I got a whole bunch of discovery calls into the training. So I'm sitting here being like, oh shit, shitting my pants, right? What am I going to do? And I know what to do. It's not a big deal. I know how to move out of that. But I'm just saying, in my mind, you're thinking, oh, something, but then something happens. Somebody else supports you. Somebody else shares it. There's a referral, whatever. So if you're in business, you become part of this information network where all these things occur. If you don't begin and you don't know what your product is and you don't know how to put it out there, then there's no place or opportunity for that play with the universe. So you have to begin, even if you're not ready, even if you don't know what the fuck is going on, what you're doing, you're totally guessing. You're doing what Cindy's doing over here, which is like having a blind faith moment of like, how am I going to sell this? How am I going to change just begin and see. Maybe you have to scale it back. Maybe you have to change it. Maybe it turns out you're not that good at it and you can't do that. That's possible. But if you don't begin, you won't know. As you begin, there's a caveat or whatever, like an A and a B part. A is be primitive. You don't have to be sophisticated when you begin. Listen, think about this. Every hospital room is nice and clean when the pregnant mother gets there. That's the way it's organized, right? Oh, a new, nice, disinfected room. Every mother in labor makes a huge mess. There's just no way to get around it. The room is pristine and the act of giving birth is a fucking mess. It's full of screaming and pain and blood and, chaos. That's the act. I know, I'm right, aren't I? That's the truth of it. And you can pretend like, oh, it's going to be organized. Oh, I'm going to be, ready. But let me tell you, when you go to give birth and to make it happen, blood. It's just the truth. And if you're not prepared to be in that gore and in that blood, you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Hate to break your heart, but like, that's just the truth. I was chatting with one of my friends this morning. She was like, oh, you're going to teach business today. She was like, well, how do you do that? In some kind of, sweet questioning, what the fuck kind of way. And I was like, I just love it. Something I love to do because I love being in that disaster. Like, I am not good at, oh, here's your job. It starts at 9. Now you have to do this. We have a meeting at 10. We're going to have cake in the lunchroom at 12. Like, some people love that. But for me, I'm like, just fucking murder me. I don't want to go. I don't like it. I don't want to be in your radiant fucking floor and in your fluorescent lights. And I'm bad at that. Some people love it. I'm just bad at it. What I like is the challenge and the craziness and the unpredictability and the unlimited growth potential. and all of you people who've come into my life and all these messages that I just really enjoy all that. So that's the guts of business. And if you don't want to deal with chaos and blood and gore, you're screwed. So it's got to be primitive. You got to go primitive to start at least. We'll make it sophisticated somewhere down the road, maybe. The second thing under begin is A, primitive, B, bigger than you think. Go big. Because, let me tell you why. Because the bigness in your mind, when you produce it, is only 10% of what you see in your mind. So if you see only the minimum thing you need to produce, and you only produce 10% of that, it's way too small. So your mind distorts what is actually going to happen. Like the business I have in my mind is 10 times bigger than this business. And I'm moving progressively day by day, like 1 millimeter at a time towards my big vision. But if I held the vision of this business in my head, I'd be 10 times smaller and you wouldn't even know who I am. Like this screen needs to be 10 times fuller. I would be happier with that. But I can't do that if I don't hold that vision in my head. So you have to sacrifice something in your life to create that space to think that big. Like there's a couple of people who aren't here today who were here last time, and I wanted to ask them, like, given the goals you told me, like I heard a few goals like 175 and 150 and 100 in my first year, what are you going to give up in your life to make space for the 10 times bigger commitment? Because if you keep your life the way it is, you don't have space for all that. So you're going to have to give something up at some point, whether it's a hobby, a time-wasting activity, an addiction, a way you're working right now that's not productive enough. You got to think through, how do I make this trade-off so that I can go bigger? So that's A and B. Primitive, big. Now we're going back to the overarching list of tenets. The next tenet I want to add after begin, which is number 6, is number 7. Be in the habit of business. Be in the habit of business. That means not looking from the outside at your business like, oh, I should go in that ring later. Oh, I should open that door someday later, tomorrow, this afternoon, whatever. But actually be in the habit of business from the moment you wake up. In the morning, when I wake up in the morning, you guys all know I have problems with my ex, with my kids, whatever, with the custody, etc. Yes, of course, when I wake up, I think, poor me, just like everybody else. Oh, what am I going to? And then my next thought after that is, I'm so blessed that I have the opportunity to be here and to work with this. I'm so lucky that I get to work with these clients today. And then, despite all of my personal issues, location issues, hesitancy, not liking how my hair looks, depression, headache, whatever, still, the business opens. And my first post goes out and I check in with all my clients and I check in with all my, not my clients, but my students. And I check all my questions that have been asked to me overnight. And I begin and I go to work. So your doubt, your sadness, your depression, your divorce, your loss, your everything that's bothering you is fine because you're human, but it's not a good reason to not be in the habit of business. So if you want to get there, if you want to incubate a business, these are some new ideas you're going to have to ascribe to. If you're an excuse maker, go back to what I said last time, make a list of lies you're telling yourself, because you're lying to yourself by saying you want this if you're an excuse maker and you can't do it now, and you can't do it now, you can't do it now. And it turns out you can never do it. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Hallmark product. Oh, should I pause? No, I'll pause after this. Okay, the reason I'm doing product next is because after you have those baseline pillars, you need to know what the fuck you're selling. Like, we can't build anything else without a product. We can't build a brand. We can't build social media. We can't build any of our outreach. We can't build a client list. We can't build a newsletter. We can't do shit until we know exactly what you are in business selling. So, as I said, you have to begin, which is step 6, in order to know what you're selling. You can't just come out of your mind and say, oh, I'm selling hypnosis and this is what it is, if you haven't begun doing it, because you don't really know what your commitment and what your promise is. So, a big key to my success, and truly, I think this is like a very important part of my story that's a little bit fantastical, which is I really did not practice. I was doing the succession, close your eyes, reading scripts. I was getting moderately good results. I had been only doing it for like 5, 6 months. I had just started. I didn't love it. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do ACH on Monday after I trained. Literally 9 a.m. that Monday morning, I was like, all right, I'll charge someone to do it. And that's truly how I learned ACH and how I got so many sessions under my belt. So you have to begin, because when you begin, you find out what your promises to the client and how you can really stand behind it. If you don't begin, you're always going to be guessing, oh, maybe I should have a 5 session product. Maybe I should, have 2. I don't know what to do. It'll always be a guess. So beginning is the first step of developing it, not the other way around. Okay. So how are we going to really price this item? So I know, Karen, you have some troubleshooting about how the pricing works. So I hope this helps you. And it's simple, because first we're just going to develop it, and then we're going to retro, edit it as we need to troubleshoot it. So you guys already know this, but I'm going to tell you again, because it's the essential bottom line of developing a product. MOS. You must go for minimum optimum service when you're developing a product. The main mistake everybody in the group is making so far is thinking, what can I give somebody? That's the opposite question. The question should be from the other side. What do I need as a hypnotist in order to make my business something palatable to me? So it has to operate in a way that you can handle it. If it's too many people a day or too many hours with each person or whatever, it'll just run out of steam eventually. Maybe you'll make it for 6 months or 8 months or a year, but eventually it'll burn out. That's not sustainable. So MOS is to make it possible for you to maintain your integrity as you get more and more clientele. So the MOS is essential, because the price of your product determines how tired you get. You know what I mean? If you're priced too low and you are working too hard, you're already in a resentment place. Your business is already fucked. So you have to begin so that you know the feedback, so you know how to figure out your product. So we're into a chicken and egg kind of, situation here. Okay. You guys all know the point of using conversational hypnosis, or whatever we're calling it, the Soulsway method, is it's speedy, it's fast. We're not committing to, oh, I'm going to sell you 6 hours of my life over the course of 6 weeks, which is the therapist selling themselves model. That's not what we're doing. We're saying the skill is super reliable. So I know what I am doing here is going to impact you pretty fast. I know you're going to all ask me, how am I going to say how fast without knowing? I'm going to answer that in a minute. But then the point is, we're not going to sell a package. We're not going to sell hours. We're not going to sell sessions. We're going to sell the point of hypnosis, which is the results. The results are not only the niche driven results. They're not just, oh, and you're going to quit smoking and that'll be great. That's what draws the client initially, because that's what they're thinking is their problem. But what's actually being sold to this person is the global impact of meeting with you. That's why I gave you the homework first, because if you don't know what that global impact is, then you don't know how important you are. If you don't know how important you are, then of course you don't know what your product is. I mean, imagine the dentist graduating from dental school being like, I don't know, maybe I'll just do cavities. Like, no, that's stupid. They're going to sell high end, the highest end thing they can, and make the highest dollar per client. Are they going to also repair the other things? Yes, but those are the drop down items that happen collaterally. Right? So that's the same thing that we're doing here, is we're saying, let me do your top level problem, and then everything else that happens will also make your life better. If you don't know that list, then when they meet with you on the discovery call, or when you're talking to them on social media, you will not convey to them that that's actually what's happening. So it's super important to understand this whole thing by results, the differentiation of speed, because that's where you're creating value. Speed plus multiple outcomes, not quit smoking. It's a very important distinction because now we're giving people, something they've never heard of. Like now you're giving people something that's really exciting and something that everybody wants and needs, even though they might not know it. So then that's the whole rub right there, is how do you get into that moment where you can have that exchange of information with them? So now we're back to the dentist example. Everything I've said so far is a reflection of the dental example. We're all trying to do an MOS to correct the problem, but also to create global health. The global health is created in many ways: by having good rapport, by giving good customer service, by having, I don't like guaranteed results, but very high level of success, by publishing reviews, all the things that every professional does when they're creating trust with the community. We're going towards, just like the dentist is going towards, like, this is what I love about my dentist. She's always on time. She gets her shit done real fast. She explains it very accurately. I trust her. She's clean. She's put together. It's about as MOS as I could dream. Like, I can't think of how she could improve it. Everything moves quickly. Payment is done. She gets you right in and out the door. You're never waiting. You're never nervous. It's a pill form of dentistry. I've had dentists in the past where I'm waiting 45 minutes, an hour, they can't find my insurance, then you get there and the thing is, that's not MOS. What we're looking for is this pill form experience. That's exactly how my business operates. Priming, social media priming, discovery call, value, expand their vision of value, very clean. Payment, session, transformation, review, $2,500. Seriously, that's the real beauty of being clear on the multiple outcomes, is going towards a pill form. That's what we're going towards, pill form. Does that make sense? Like, as close as possible to, oh, I can just give you this out of a container and you're going to quit smoking. We all know that that's not going to happen in this generation, maybe the next or the next if they survive. Like, but we all know that we're not going to actually be giving people a here, quit smoking. So it's going to get somewhere close to it with the real lateralness of, complexity of talking to people and the ins and outs of actually doing the service. So always interact with clients less and go faster without cutting them off, without, speeding people through. I don't put pressure on myself either. And I do follow up with people if they follow up with me. I don't cut them out of my, schedule. Somebody contacts me, somebody did this morning, I speak back to them. So I'm not saying like ruthlessly, but I'm saying like conditioning and priming towards that. That's when you come up with your I help statement. I help this kind of person for X amount of money in this amount of time. That's not the one you publish on social media. I'm just saying in your own head. I help X person for $1,500, $1,800, $2,500 in 4 hours or less. And then we're going to repackage that to tell them what it is. I help women quit smoking in 60 days or less, in 30 days or less, in 2 sessions or less, whatever it is. So now we're getting to what is the product, right? Then we're going to educate the client in their symptoms so that they come to you so you can explain all this to them because they don't know. The reason I think that I'm able to charge what I'm able to charge now is because I'm dependable and fast. Like, there's no magic in that. That's just a skill. I'm just dependable and fast. So how do you make more money, become more dependable and faster? I'm getting paid not for a promise of I'll coach you through it in this amount of time. That's not what I'm getting paid for. I'm getting paid for galvanizing this problem right now. So when I'm packaging my product, I don't need to think about, oh, you need to see me this amount of time, you need this amount of energy, because I'm not, like the expression I had in my head is I'm not whoring myself out. I'm not prostituting myself out for a long experience with you. I'm not projecting, oh, you're gonna have to pay me this many for this. That's not how I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it like we're gonna have a crossing of identities. We're gonna have a intersection, which is going to be huge and it's gonna be worth it. And my reviews prove that I'm right. You might sit here and be like, well, how can you justify that? Well, look at all the people who've justified it for me, who've said, I pay you 10 times more, or it was incredible. Did you see the one I published last night, which was like, I wish I could have another catastrophic divorce because the healing was so good? I mean, that's funny. Like, obviously, it's really effective. Okay, so how do you do the metrics of that? I'm going to stop talking in like 3 minutes. The metrics are projected yearly income. And I think, Karen, actually, I'm curious to know if you've done it this way. Projected yearly income, let's say we're all doing 120 because that's 10 grand a month. So now we go down to monthly 10K. So how many clients per month to make the 10K? How many strategy calls per week or per month or per day is needed for that number of clients? Let's say in the end, you're doing, 2,500, 4 clients a month. So you need to see, let's say 16 discovery calls or 20, right? How many does that come down to per week? 4 per week, 4 discovery calls per week. Now we have to know, okay, if we have this many successful, how many do we need globally, including the rejects? That's the number you're going for in your social media. You want that number of strategy calls. So we're reverse engineering the whole thing based on what I want to make per year. How much does that cost? How much do I need to make per month? How many clients does that come down to? How many discovery calls does that mean? What about my failure rate? I have to work in my failure rate. And now I can come up with a number. That's it. It's science. That's logic. You don't need to think about that. Then test that number and see what happens. Do people say yes or no? If you get no's over no's, it's not the right number. You need to change it. You need to think about it. If it's too low, everyone will say yes. If you get both, then you're getting to the right balance. As now, when you're honing in on that number, as your conversion rate goes up, the number of people you need to see goes down. Now you're gaining hours. So you see, you keep refining that price by improving your skill, because as your conversion rates and your speed of delivery improve, you can start to cut back on hours. When you win back hours, now you can innovate and do other things with your time and life. So it's a very scientific model that's based on a retrospective look on what you need to survive, and then checking with data, meaning on, litmus test it, actually experience it with live people. Is that right? And if not, how do I need to edit it? In your day, you need to have at least 1 session, probably 2. You need to have time for strategy calls, and you need to create content and market. So every day, you need to have a balance of those 3 things going. If you have 3 sessions in a row, there's no time for strategy calls. If you have 3 sessions in a row, there's no time for marketing. So it has to be numbers that give you enough stretch to operate the whole business. Then conversion rate goes up, time spent with strategy calls and people who don't pay goes down. Another way to increase profitability is then to raise your price point based on your experience. So how do you change your price point is by how much good feedback you get. So like 5 yeses is a $50 increase on price. I know it sounds like nothing, but if you do a lot of strategy calls and sessions, then you're increasing your price by $200-300 a year or every 6 months. That's a lot. That's like going at the rate of inflation plus more. Okay, so then you go off and process all that information. That's you being in your incubator. That's you incubating. Okay, I did my metrics. Okay, I'm troubleshooting. Okay, I'm editing. Now I'm taking my MOS homework, combining it with my niche statement, and coming up with the product. I don't know my brand yet. That doesn't matter because you need the product first anyway. And then you iterate. You keep iterating, keep going closer and closer to pill form, keep adding $50 with each successful sale, flow cash at the rate that that network of information allows so that you build an actual business. Even if you're flowing cash too slow or too low or whatever, you're creating some momentum right there. And that's the information that will tell you what your correct product actually needs to be in the end. So over deliver as you develop this MOS. If you don't know how to price it correctly, over deliver instead of under deliver, and then edit from there. So my success in charging the 2,500 at a 70 or 80% conversion rate, which is what I do right now. Like that's what I love about my business, by the way. When I have a discovery call, they will book with me. It's very rare that people say no, thank you at this point. So that increases my net income by a lot because I don't have to sit here with a lot of rejections, which is a time waster, although obviously it's a good investment in business overall. So my success is a combination of the confidence I have in my speed and that I'm at the right price for the type of people who want me. So you have to love your idea and then you have to test it in the market and then you have to iterate on it if it's wrong. And then, and now I'm going to stop talking. Once you have this hallmark product, just this one thing, a big problem with a lot of new people is they're like, oh, I need a workshop, I need a class, I need audio to sell. No, you don't need any of that. You really don't. You can do that next. The next level after cash flow is lateral. So then it's like, oh, and I want trainings and I want workshops and I want this, but that's all based on my hallmark product is so dependable. So that's like the next level is the scalers and the product line. But we don't need to do that yet because this is more important. Okay, so that's how you develop a product. Stop thinking about it and just follow the science of it. It's not hard. And I know what you're going to say next is, but it is hard. So, okay, ask me questions. I have the 2 questions from Facebook, but I want you to just have a chance now to ask me questions about what I said today.
So this is not a question, it's a reflection, and because some synapses just, connected for me, um,
Fabulous.
about the fundamental difference of ACH and, as a psychotherapist.
Exactly. Speed.
So the ACH, you have the same person, they have the same problem, and then there's, like, so the way I'm seeing this is here's the person, and over here is the land of everything that they want to feel better, feel less whatever,
Yep.
and there's a moat between them
Yep.
and the
Yep.
land
And
of everything they want. The
that's
diff
the problem. Right.
Yeah, the moat is the problem, yes. But the
Mhm.
difference between ACH and traditional therapy is that ACH is you're building the bridge over the moat so that they can get over there and then figure out their own shit. The
Exactly.
therapy world is we build the
Yes. I'll
bridge
hold your
and
hand while you
then
figure out how
I'll
to
walk
wipe your butt.
around this la la land with you
Yeah.
forever. Yes.
Exactly. That's
So
exactly
thank you.
right. You got that exactly right, and I mean, it's taken me as long as I've been doing ACH to really get clear on this, and I'm sure I'll have many levels of clarity that are yet to come, but it's really taken me a long time to understand differentiation based on speed. It's really hard to just get through your mind that we're not just saying, "Oh, I'll help you with your problem. Oh, your addiction. Oh, I'm the magic key to figuring out how to get through this." It's that plus please do not sit in my office for days and weeks on end because I don't like that and it doesn't help you. That difference in your mental state is what primes them to change. The priming of, I'll see you next week, I don't know how long it's going to take, is screwing the client out of the miracle of transformation, which can be very, very fast. So if you're not primed into believing that they don't need to be handheld through every step of their transformation, which they don't, by the way, because they're grown-ups, then you are the reason that you're not able to come up with a product. That's exactly it. You're exactly right. I don't care what the moat is. What I care about is giving you an experience of the other side so that you can now live it. And the only way I know how to do it is hypnosis. Why? Because the subconscious processes up to 10 million pieces of data per second, where the conscious mind does up to 50. I just heard that from Dr. James Doty on the Mel Robbins podcast. He's a neurosurgeon. His numbers are right. So 1 to 10 million versus 50 is the reason that hypnosis works. You have not a goddamn fucking thing to do with that. It has nothing to do with you. That's just the nature of the mind. Do you trust it or not? I mean, and that really is what differentiates us from everybody else, is that we're saying, here, I know how to hack into a part of you that will speed you through your healing. And let's just remember too, like, when we're talking speed, okay, people transform, let's say in 2 hours, but the transformation takes days, months, and years. So it's also confusing to talk about, oh, it's so fast, because the truth is your life. I mean, I've been doing hypnosis and ACH forever, and the person I am now is still not the person I see in my mind or I'm expecting to be. But I can see the trajectory now. My mind wants it. My mind works towards it. That's the results that you're selling. When do they get there? I do not know. And I don't care either. But I mean, I had a great one. Like, I had a woman recently who, like 6 months ago or 8 months ago, who had never had an orgasm in her 30s. Very sexually frigid, very beautiful woman, super lively, loved to travel, like very outgoing person, but just had this sexual, whatever, hang up. Well, she just came through my social media yesterday next to this man who she came to me so that she could be with this guy. And she published that as her profile picture. There it was. That made me feel amazing. But it took 8 months. It was not like the next day. Did she give me an update? No, because she doesn't give a fuck anymore, because she's busy fucking this guy. That's what I wanted. She's not thinking about, oh, I should let my therapist know that my sex life is going great. No, she's doing it. She forgot about me. I put a like on that because I want her to remember that I was a part of it, and don't forget to send me my wedding invitation. But I didn't even comment, because it's not my place. It's not my place. It's not my place to put myself in her life. She hired me to get a job done. I got it done. We're done. I am happy to follow her because it gives me a good feeling to know that she's getting laid and having a great time. That's great. But like, how fast was that? A year? That's not that fast. But I did see her transform in the session, which, by the way, I should write a report on, because it was one of the most fascinating ones I've ever done. But I saw her change. $2,500. Good luck. Have fun dating. See you never. Like that.
Okay, I don't really have a question. Am I off mute? Yeah.
Yeah.
But my realization is from what you just went over, where my iteration needs to happen.
Yeah, I want to hear
and
it.
really, I mean, lots of light bulbs go off, because things are going good, but I can see now where I need to put more energy, where I need to put
Yeah.
more emphasis, that type of
Yours
thing.
is, it's obvious to me. What is it? Tell me what you think it is. What do you need to do more?
What I need to do, I mean, I have no problem with the pricing. I have no problem with, it's really what I need to get down to is not even the MOS. It's really figuring out who I really am targeting, because I've switched platforms, which
Yep.
as of December, the end of December, went over to TikTok, hadn't been using it at all. I was working with a coach that her whole thing was Instagram. And it was
Yeah.
all Instagram based, forget about all
Yeah.
of the other platforms. And so I did that for at least a year. Pretty much crickets, and so I was getting my clients more through, in person, that type of stuff. So all that energy I was putting there, and I went, what the hell? I'll just throw some things up onto TikTok. Explosion. I have had posts that have 225,000 views with 800 comments, and I mean, you should see these numbers. Unbelievable. And so I'm getting all of these discovery calls, but I've left it wide open to anybody with this
That's right.
problem.
That's the problem.
And
And now
that
they're
is the
wasting your
biggest problem
time.
that I have. I'm wasting my
Exactly.
time talking to people that,
Exactly. Who can't
aren't
afford it.
qualified.
And see, so what's missing? There's a couple things missing. One is inside of your TikTok, because 200, I mean, I don't have a 250,000 views anywhere. I have
These
like a
numbers
max.
are crazy. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're able to get that kind of crazy numbers, then also inside of the library that all these people have access to has to be an explanation of exactly what the,
And that's what's missing. Right.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
I was just like blown away, and it's like, oh, okay. And here we go.
Except for
And
you
so
want,
now I've been caught up in it. Yeah.
but you want all those people to self-eliminate as well based on what they watch
Yes.
in the media,
Yes.
so that you're not talking to people telling them things that they could have learned from the video. So like
Exactly, because
a
I
lot
could
of,
have my whole day filled up with in discovery calls, and it is. I had to limit to how many days a week I
but
was
so
doing them because they're
I
so
just
full.
want to say, Karen, so one thing that happened in my business was I went through a period like that too, where it was the wrong people and I was wasting my time. But I was still afraid to share on my media that I'm expensive or that I'm a high price, because I felt like, oh, but it's going to detract other people from finding out what my price is. But it's
Yeah.
the opposite. It's been the opposite for me. The more I talk about that I'm a high end for this reason, the more I talk about, and this is exceptional for this reason, the better my return has been, because people have come who want that premium product.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
that's where I am now. So
you have to be explicit about, the reason I don't charge per session. This can be a video. I don't charge per sessions. I don't charge per
yep.
hour. This is what I do. And you can tag people who are, expressing interest on TikTok before you
Yeah.
say, would you like my link? Don't say that first.
And
Tag
that's
them.
what I do.
Yeah, but don't do that, because then you're selling them. Instead of that, tag them on a few of your informational videos about how does hypnosis feel, and what does it mean to do product instead of, or result instead of hourly. And then as they watch them, see who reaches out to you again and says,
Right.
oh, I'd like more. Because a lot of them will at that point stop bothering you because they don't want to find out what that high price is.
And that's what I don't have is an informational video.
That's what I'm saying.
Just,
That's what I'm saying. Is your TikTok needs to now be have a titration built into it.
yes, that is exactly what I need because it's
And
gotten too crazy. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's right. And I think also, if this price point stops working with the discovery calls that you have, change it and reduce what you give people, or amend the product so that you can do like, a $1,500 session in the same amount of time you would have done a 25. Like, you can edit it if you have a clientele that works at
It
a certain.
almost can't get any faster as far as the
Well,
transformation.
then don't do that.
Right. Last night I had the second follow-up or the session with a woman who the week before had said, I don't think it's doing anything. So
Right.
we
And
have the
now
second
suddenly
session.
everything.
She couldn't
Right.
find anything to talk
Any
about
problem.
other than, how much better she feels for the problem that she came in for. So we spend an hour talking like girlfriends.
Isn't that the most annoying? I hate that when they're like
Because
sitting
I'm
there
just
for a
going,
whole session being like, well, I don't know. I just like spending time. It was cool to come. I'm like, no, I didn't. But see, that's my fault for priming them wrong. So I
yeah.
think that goes back
So,
to editing the promise.
so that is, thank you. Now I know where I need to start focusing because
And then
I think $2,500 is fair to get rid of
totally,
their problem
it
because I
totally
have such conviction. It was priceless to me,
I
but
agree.
I'm dealing with the wrong people.
Frankly, for me, I think it's too cheap at this point, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
think about editing it, but mine includes the tax as well, so it's really only 22, so I don't know. I'm gonna edit mine too. But the other thing I was gonna say is when the person in front of you is qualified and has watched all this stuff, then you lay on the homework from last week. That's where the homework really comes in, because then it's like, this is really what you're here for. I needed to talk to you personally so that I could explain that, because there's no way for me to convey that without this,
Yeah.
interaction. So that's
Yeah.
why I made you do the homework. I'm going to treat it like grad school. They make you bring the homework and then they never check it. But like, that's the point of doing it, is
Right.
you need to have that deep inside of you, as part of your character, all these effects of being hypnotized, because when they are primed and self-selected, that's what sells them.
Yeah. And that the priming, like you said, is the key, because they've, your session is so fast because, and
That's
the
right.
results are so great
That's right.
because they've already gone through the process. And so,
And the social media, everyone hates it, but it's doing your job for you.
yeah.
I mean, I had a guy recently who bought my larger package because he wanted to do a whole life transformation. So he bought a 9-pack, and he sits down in the chair and he says to me, I know exactly what's going to happen because I've watched all your videos and read all your reviews. And I'm like, awesome, great. So what's the problem? Like, I already am done.
Yep.
Just made $6 grand, 5.5 grand. And I don't even need to lift a finger. I mean, it was fun. It was a great comment. It was a great, and he had a great
You just said that the
transformation.
key there, it's fun. That's
Yeah,
at the point where it's just fun. And I walk out of every
yeah,
time I'm done with the session, and I just go tell my partner, I said,
yeah.
this is so fun. This is
So
just so
fun.
fun. It's
And the
changing
reason
somebody's life.
And that's why I said the metrics are important, because
Yeah.
if the metrics are based on the client, it's not fun for you. If it's not fun for you, and by fun, I don't mean fun, guys, because we all have to work, and it is work, and this whole business is not simple by any means. So I'm not trying to say my whole life is fun. It's not. But if you do prime correctly, and if you do believe, as Karen has the right amount of confidence and conviction, and you schedule efficiently and correctly for your type of person, then there's nothing to do when the session begins. So you don't have
Yeah.
to worry. So you have no pressure. So now life is good.
And you know that you've changed somebody's life, their whole life, and so how long it takes, it doesn't matter. And they're smiling, they're laughing, different
Yeah.
person leaves and came in, and it's like, and you get paid. So, but you're right. I thank you again. It's just that now I know where.
Yeah. And I'm
Because
going to go check out
I
your
can't
TikTok.
sustain this.
Do you want to do our masterclass on TikTok? I want to know how to get 250,000 views. That's amazing. That's really impressive.
Well, that's the whole thing. Just like you, I don't know. I
Yeah,
have no
exactly.
clue. I
You
just threw
just
it
make
up
it.
there, and yeah.
Yep.
And I've been reposting. Here's the kicker. I haven't done. I just started 2 days ago doing 2 new videos. Up until that point from December, I've been posting them every day, but I've just been using old ones. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's right.
videos that I made.
Be
I
with
just went
me.
through my list. I just reposted old ones, put a different title on it, and there we
I do
go.
too. I reuse reviews. I mean, people are not watching us that closely. It's not like you,
Obviously, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of the time you're thinking, oh, I need something fresh every day, but like, no, nobody's, stalking you. They're just kind of scrolling. I mean, everyone forgets, I think too, that like these videos that we're making, 95% of people will not watch the whole video, or they won't even click on it to begin with, but they will be reminded that you exist. And they will be reminded that there's a
Right.
hypnotist out there. And then one
Yeah.
day they realize they have a problem, or that their neighbor has a problem, or that, oh, my girlfriend just came over and, is
Right.
going to surgery. And, oh, I heard that there's a hypnotist on the internet.
And that
So
was the thing that I learned from Scott, was that it was all about the headline. People aren't even watching it half the time,
that's
that
right.
it's just strictly the
It's
headline.
the headline, but also the repetitiveness of it.
Yes.
It's the
Consistency.
continual
Yeah.
reminder. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
In
Even
your
if it's
face,
you know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Thank you though.
Of course. I'm excited to find out how this goes for you with the 250,000 views. That's super exciting. Congratulations. Okay, any other questions on the new, so the new rules for the new, what did I call it, them pillars for today were begin, be primitive, go big. What was the last one? Be in the habit of business. I made a whiteboard, but I'm too lazy to put it up. And what was the other one? Be in the habit of business. That's it. Be in the habit of business. And then develop the product and the price. And follow the formula for developing the price, and don't just come up with something off the top of your head. Do that later. Come up with other products. So Cindy, you were troubleshooting with me last time that you had a high-end product. It's just that your product is not, congruent with everybody who needs your help. So let that be your kind of secondary product or your lateral product, and come up with a hallmark product that's really like, exceptional.
So the when you just
That
said that,
will, because that's where your cash will come from, and the rest will be bonus. The 50 grand you make right now should be the 50 grand over 100. The 50 grand you make from your high-end thing should be what you make from 100 to 150. But the first 100 should be your key hallmark big dollar product. So like a $2,000 3-visit package or something like that.
so I I have been thinking that you only did like 3 visits, turn and burn, and then I just heard you say he bought my bigger package.
Yep.
So that just connected for me as well because um I don't know why I've been feeling kind of boxed into a
That's what
3
I was gonna say. You're in a box.
session.
I
Yeah.
agree. You're in a
Um
box you haven't thought outside of. And by the way, I added the $5,500 product based on demand, because I had several clients I added it in 2024. So in 2023, I had several people say, but I want to work with you for a year. I don't have a problem, this kind of problem. And I was like, well, that's weird. I'm advertising problems and people are being like, oh, I want another thing. Okay, so I added it because they asked me to, not because I thought it would be a great thing for people to have. So then
so when
I sold, like, I don't sell many of them, like 2, 3, 4 a year, but that's 20 grand. So
Yeah. So how do you differentiate? My problem right now is when somebody says, "Well, I'm experiencing this that's bothering me a lot right now, but I also have da 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 da." And people are, I mean, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, well, can you fix the da 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 in the 3 sessions? Because
yeah,
it's
you say yes.
2,200?"
That's why you have a discovery call, to find out if you can or not. If you can, then sell them the cheaper thing. Don't try to sell people a more expensive thing just because you make more money. Just ask them what their problem is, and then assess based on what they say. Do they need 3 or 9? 90% of people I can handle in 2 visits. The 3 visits is already too many. So if I can handle it, I tell them there's no reason for you to buy something larger. I would just start with this. Let's see what happens. If the person is sitting in front of me and is like, oh, I read all of your reviews and what I want to do is my love life, my career, exercise. This guy wanted to also explore like sexuality and all kinds of things. I said to him, listen, I can fix this in 3. I also have a 9-pack, which would give us more time and perhaps include some traditional hypnosis also, if you'd like that. I'll send you an email after this. My assistant will send it. Both are listed there. You can choose. No pressure, no sale, nothing. I said, look over the options. You tell me. I had somebody else buy that who had cancer, because obviously she's thinking in her head, I'm going to have cancer for a year because that's what's happening in reality. I want to see Maya once a month. I can afford it. It makes more sense for me to invest in 9. Okay, perfect. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to take away her cancer in 3, or not even take away, but help her manage it in 3. Like, yes, I could, but that's not the assistance she wanted. So the 9-pack is very sensible there.
Yeah. You and I are basically doing the same thing, I just didn't know it.
Perfect. Well, then have a cheaper product that, actually sells to a larger mass of people.
So my
And
cheaper product is the 3 sessions. It's 2,200. It's easy.
I know, but you don't sell that. You're selling your other one as your Hallmark product. Go the
It
other
always has been.
direction. Go with larger numbers at lower prices. And lower, I don't mean $500. I mean 22 is not low. So sell 30, 40 of those a year, which is not that many. But if you sell 40 and it's one person a week, that's not
Yeah.
much.
So
You know,
before today, I didn't have the moat picture, and
right.
that's how I'm gonna start, like, describing it to say, you know, "We're gonna get you over this moat, over here to this land of all of the things that you want, and you don't even know that you want yet, and all of the power that you have to create all of these things for yourself. If
But
you
let
want me
me
to
just
walk through that land with you."
I don't know if you've taken my discovery call class. I would take it if you haven't already, but what I want to
Haven't.
say is something I teach in that class, which is use what you know about the mind to explain how that works. Because if you just tell people, oh, it's an amazing thing that happens. I say some words and then you're on the other side of the moat. They're like, bullshit. That's not going to happen. But if you say to them, the way neuroplasticity works, the way the mind is organized, and then give them a 30-second and nothing explanation of the way that the subconscious and conscious relate to each other, then now you're an expert. Now you're talking about something that's really, checkable, verifiable. That's why that list of MOS that I had you make for homework is so essential, because you're proving to yourself that you understand why hypnosis supersedes conscious therapy, CBT, EMDR. I mean, EMDR is on the line. But like that, I love when people tell me, okay, well, I tried the CBT and it didn't work. I'm like, let me tell you why. Because they told you to follow a bunch of conscious steps where your problem does not exist. So how is that supposed to work? I say to people, it's kind of like if I go to a Chinese restaurant and order a Mexican meal. Like, I'd be kind of ridiculous to believe that they're going to figure out how to make Mexican food back there. Well, your mind's the same. It's not going to change how it works on a dime. Like, it works a certain way. So let's just work with that. And that's true. Like, look at your life. Isn't it true that you know about the mind in a way other people don't? Yeah. Well, that's what's worth $2,200. It's simple. Also, Cindy, you had a question about combining ACH with somatics. I mean, I think we've covered it by now, which is no, it's a speed product that is a conversational product. If you combine it with somatics, lots of things could happen. It might be magical. I know Magdalena in the bigger group does that. I don't know her personally, but I know that that's her thing. But I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know if you can talk and do somatics at the same time and it works the same, because I've never tested it. I will tell you, in the back end of my business, I sell nutritional products because I use them and I live on them and I believe in them. And people often ask me, how do you look so good? Why are you so cheerful, whatever. And then I just say the truth. I use a lot of hypnosis, but also I take care of my health and this is what I do. Are you curious? Yeah, so half of them, or 40% of them, then sign up after the whole thing and buy a product that is a passive income item. So I combine it not with somatics, but that's a little bit somatic because now we're working on the body. So now I've made a lateral move in the business, which is like adding another leg of offering. So I don't know the answer to somatics, but I'm saying you can expand and add other things that you do and whatever, but not in front of the hallmark item. Like, you guys don't even know I sell nutritional products, right? Maybe you do from watching my stories, but probably not, because I don't do it in front of hypnosis, because then my clientele's confused. I do it once the client knows me and has been to my office or has asked me or has seen me drinking my green drink or has seen me post something about my, colon or whatever it is that I'm on to that day. Like, that's how the networking works. And now I have, aside from having 45 students, I also have 18 or 19 people who work with the nutrition all the time on the back end. Do I need to talk to them every day? No. Do I need to check in on them sometimes? Yes. So there's another piece of my job. I'm gonna answer Lucas's question that was on Facebook, and then I'll let Cindy ask about your client, and then I'll stop and see if there's any other questions, and then I'll stop the whole class. So if you need to go, that's cool. We're pretty much done with the lesson for today, but I want to answer the rest of the questions that were asked. So Lucas isn't here right now, but he just joined and he asked me, what do you do if you have a religious client that you don't agree with? Well, what did I do with the lady who had no orgasms at 35? Like, I don't agree with that. I don't understand how people can have no masturbation or no like personal time or whatever. It makes no sense to me. Does that have any influence on how I treat her? No, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with her and her life. I had a 35-year-old virgin who was Muslim, raised Muslim, still lived with her parents at that age. I could give her a million reasons why that's not something I would do, not how I raise my children. What's the difference? Had nothing to do with me. That's her religion, that's her family, that's her life. All I'm interested in is now that you're 35 and you have some perspective on what's going on, do you agree? Do you want to continue? Do you want to stay in that mindset? Or what do you want? So I don't have any contribution in terms of ethics. All I have is the world or the big picture perspective of, yes, we live in a world with various religions. Yes, your parents are immigrants. Yes, you were raised this way. Now that you're a grown person, how do you feel about it? What's the problem? And we just go from there. I don't have any, I have no interest in changing anybody's religion, perspective, anything, unless, of course, they're coming from a very nasty place, in which case I wouldn't work with them to begin with. If you're there to become more of a white supremacist, like, you're not in the right place. I'm not going to help you with that. But if you're there to discover your identity, by all means. I have a PhD in, philosophy and religion, so I can talk to you about it all day long and all night. Let's do it. If you're the kind of therapist, Lucas, for asking this question, who your religious belief interrupts your clients, get an ACH session and ask yourself, what do you want more? Do you want to be a preacher, or do you want to be present for people and meet them where they are? I'm not saying that's who you are, because I don't know you personally. I'm just saying, if it's your religious thing that matters, then become a consultant to, religious people. I mean, didn't Sarah Picaro do that? She was doing emotional whatever, and now she's a consultant for people to believe in Jesus, and she's using ACH for that. Great. That's what works for you. But I don't see how any belief system or any evaluation of anything other than self-harm or harming others has anything to do with me. I find it hard when I have cheaters. Sometimes I've, had people who are cheating in their marriages or doing whatever, because I really do have an opinion of that. But again, it's like, they're all grown-ups. They can do what they want as long as they come to terms with it and figure out if they can live with whatever it is that they're choosing. They should decide on their own. But that's my religion problem, if I had to call one out. Cindy, did you want to ask about your troubleshooting client?
So with my 14-year-old client, so specifically thinking about like tics, but also the diagnosis of ADHD, and his tic specifically, the one that's most bothersome right now, is like a sniffing. He feels like there's something in his nose. And when his mom reached out to me, I said, she goes, we've been to the ENT. They say it's a habit, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, a really easy way to see if it's a behavioral thing and not a physical thing is to take a little decongestant. And if it stops for him, then it's physical. And it did. And now he's on some other, it's just a whole medical issue with that. But for this kiddo, he's got like the ADHD, severe executive functioning problems, feeling really bad about himself because he's constantly in trouble for.
And so you're saying that it did turn out to be medical.
Right, but the medical community is not listening. So
okay.
It's a physical issue, yeah. for him. And he's trying to express this to people and they are
I
not
just don't,
listening.
I don't agree with your approach there, Cindy. I got to tell you why, because
Okay.
you could have created a placebo effect there where you said, go test it out. And then the spray actually has now created belief in him. And the thing with us not being doctors is we just don't know. So like, I would never cross that line that into having somebody do something that I was thinking might fix it, because I'm not a doctor and I can't be held liable and I can't be invested in telling them, hey, even go buy something over the counter, because now I don't know what my position is inside of that problem exactly. So to me, that would be the issue more, would be like, I don't know what my influence or effect is on this person, even if I haven't met them, because for all I know, now they believe that the spray is helping them. So for my, like, I just had a stuttering client, also 14 years old. So it's a little similar, like a tick, right? The main challenge for me in dealing with him was to not get interested in watching the symptom change at all. Because as soon as my eye was on the symptom, it remained. Oh, he's still stuttering. Oh, 20 minutes went by, he's still stuttering. Oh, 30 minutes went by, he's still stuttering. Then my mind told me, Maya, you're the problem right now. Stop focusing on the stuttering. It's going to go away. Just mac him. That's it. Don't even ACH them. The teenagers don't like ACH. They like to be macked, right? Because they're chill, they're young. So then I was like, chill, relax. We'll talk about video games. We'll talk about something else. What happened next time I checked in on the stuttering? By the end of the session, it was like 10% left. So I think your view of who he is, his diagnosis, all of these, ideas you have are already boxing you out of a straight Mac session, which is what you're best at. So take yourself outside of that fix it mentality, which is like, let's find out what it is, because that's not your job. That's a medical doctor's job. Moreover, it's better for him to come and see you because he has all these other things. So it doesn't matter really what the status of the stuffed up nose is. Does that make sense? Like the box that you've seen him in is already confined.
So
Take yourself outside of that completely and just do a level two approach, which is
so having the conversation with his mother where he said she's telling me, he repeatedly says, it feels like there's something there.
Right.
And I said, okay, so how do we know that there isn't?
right. Exactly.
Said,
So then
well,
she has to make her.
the ENT says that there isn't.
Right.
Okay, well, I mean,
Well, so then if the ENT says that there isn't, then we know that there's something more going on. Why would somebody feel that something is there if nothing is there? There's something in their mind.
well, that's exactly what I said. So it doesn't, I mean, we know that there's something more going on. And
Right.
like the medical, I mean, just because the ENT says that there's nothing there, how many times have people been disregarded and
Yes.
there is actually something there?
No, but
You
the
know?
problem right now is that you care about the outcome. You're invested right now in figuring out what's really going on, but that's not your job. It's irrelevant what's really going on because you don't have any insight into that. So like
So what would you do? I guess. How would you handle this?
if you come into a problem without your proper position, which is the hypnotist position, you've already given away too many chips. You know what I'm saying? Like my role is clear. I'm a fixer. I go for it. It's done fast. We'll evaluate later if it worked or not. I don't need to like troubleshoot you at the outset because I just can't. I can't tell what your subconscious is doing if you're not here in the session. So what am I going to do preemptively? My only preemptive job is to prime. I can't evaluate people. I'm not a doctor. All I can do is depend on the insight they give me through the form. So if you put on your form, I went to the ENT, I have a diagnosis, blah, 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 blah. That's what I'm gonna like keep in the back of my mind, disregard it, come to the session fresh and work with the problem. But I don't collect the data and then like tell people what to do in the meantime. It's too much legal liability also.
Well, obviously with the disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. I can't tell you what to do with this. And
I
the
know,
mother
but
was
what if
like,
you go in front of, what if you end up in front of a judge and the judge is like, well, why did you tell her to use an over-the-counter spray if you're a
no, I
hypnotist?
told, so with the direction to call his pediatrician
I know, but I'm
first.
saying at the outset,
So what would you do? What
why
would you do differently?
that's what I said. It's a very good question. Yeah, I agree with Karen. It's just a symptom. Exactly. That's the answer. It's just a symptom. So why'd you get involved with it anyway? I would take myself out of trying to understand who this kid is and what's his problem, because now I'm involved in a story that they've brought to me. I would remove myself from that and hold on to my posture. Posture is so important in business, right? My posture is best hypnotist you'll ever meet, fastest, most effective, most reliable. Come to me, I'll get to the bottom of it. I'll tell you later what I think, not at the beginning. So I would hold that posture no matter what they press me on, no matter what they say. I still hold the posture because that's all I can do. That's all I know. So I don't work outside of that posture ever. So they can say to me ADHD, they can say to me trauma, whatever. I'm hearing it because I'm interacting with humans and I want to like be compassionate and thoughtful. But I'm also holding my posture as a hypnotist, which is, I don't know what any of you guys are talking about. I don't know who this kid is. I don't know if he has ADHD. I don't even know if that exists in life, frankly, because I've had plenty of ADHD clients who leave and then suddenly their ADHD disappeared. Like, why? And I'm not claiming anything. Don't take this out of context and put a video up, of me saying I cure ADHD because I don't know what's happening. All I know is lots of things go on out there that I'm not educated, informed, caring about, etc. And I'm just removing myself from all of that because my position as a hypnotist is to not get involved in the big pharma story. If I wanted to be involved in the big pharma story, I would be a therapist in a hospital. I don't want to be involved in that. I'm differentiated for that reason. And so even that whole interaction with the parent up front, I'm really kind of, at 14, the kid can speak for themselves. I'm really careful not to get super involved with the parent because that's part of the problem right there. You saying to the mother, oh, ADHD, is now confirming to her that that's the diagnosis. Now you've hypnotized her.
I didn't diagnose him. No.
No,
That's
but
what
I'm
she told
saying
me.
you having a dialogue with the mother where she says, I think it's ADHD, and you say to her, maybe it is, that's
No,
now,
he is diagnosed and medicated for ADHD.
I know, but you confirming that or accepting it is already hypnotic. That's not your job. Your job is to help the kid, not to confirm something that they think that may or may not be true. So I remain skeptical. I remain skeptical. I remain skeptical because I don't want to put them in categories that I do not know are correct. Depression is another one. I've had lots of people tell me they're depressed, clinically depressed, and then they come to hypnosis and they're alleviated their symptoms. The one I just told you about, it's in my stories today. The guy with the divorce, he was suicidal. I mean, not quite, because I told him, if you actually are, I'm going to call an ambulance. Like, I really am. I'm not joking. And I was really terse with him. And he sat in my chair and cried that first day. And I was like, what did I get myself into? But the hypnosis helped and the depression peeled away. And then he quit drinking. Then he became a volunteer. It's like the weirdest story ever. He started volunteering in the community. He had 4 kids and a divorce. And he was like, I know. I mean, whatever. It was great. It was beautiful. But I'm just saying, if I had believed him and been like, oh, yeah, clinical depression due to traumatic divorce, then I would have been part of that whole, story. That's not my job. You have to be very clean with the way you think about them, like super clean. They tell you the symptom, you think to yourself, oh, yeah, okay, that's a cool symptom. See you in session.
Okay.
Is it crazy? Are you following? I just think anything that's medical, I already don't touch because I'm not qualified and I can't be involved in it, because if I am, then I'm pretending like I have a qualification I don't have. Maybe you have a
So,
qualification I don't
so
have.
the first thing I said was tics.
Yeah.
What would be
So the
that's
first thing,
one tic.
right. So like the guy who called me with the stuttering son, the first thing he says is, do you work with stuttering? And I say, of course. I've done, cases of tics and stuttering before. Okay, so how does it work? Okay, well, did you go to a doctor? Do you know about anything about it? Is there any reason to not treat this kid? No. Okay, so then I explain the dad about the mind. And then that's it. That's a 15-minute call. Then I say, I'm going to see you both on a discovery call and explain to you, how my method works. And then the child sits in front, the dad sits behind or next to. I tell them the way the mind works. I tell them my process, and then I let the child talk. Because I don't want to hear the dad's story. What's the difference? The dad has a story that's now once removed from the actual problem. Now I'm listening to somebody interpret somebody's interpretation. Like, no, thank you. It's just a waste of time, in my opinion. And I mean, just be clear, I'm not mean to people. I'm not disrespecting the parents. I'm a parent. I want to be talked to also if I take my kids somewhere, but I'm doing it in a grain of salt kind of way, because I know that the underlying thing is unclear to the parent, obviously. And by the way, this kid has not come back. It was a 2-session solving. The problem went away. The stuttering is gone now. I mean, as far as I know, I haven't heard a follow-up since. And what happened in the second session, the first one was a great reduction. He had a great experience, more confident, lots of things happened. The second one, he sat there in the chair and said, I know when this problem started and I know why I have it. And I was like, great, so what is it? And he told me, and I was like, okay, well, now that you know that, do you need to keep this? And he was like, no. Okay, so get rid of it. And then he was like, how? And I said, just do it now. Like, do it right now in front of me. I'll do it here. I'll sit here with you while you do it. That's the job. It was wonderful too, because he's 14 and now he knows that he controls his life. What more can you give a kid than that? This kid, by the way, asked for this for Christmas. It was such a great story. He found me himself and asked for his dad to give him hypnosis for Christmas. So he gave himself the gift of his freedom and his health. Just wonderful. I wish I could write that one down too, actually. I wish I can write that one down, and I will. Okay, well, we've been here 90 minutes. You guys can go if you need to. Did that make sense to you, Cindy? You seem a little skeptical. I think maybe you're in the therapist mentality of just like thinking you need to investigate things more than the hypnotist really does. Like, I'm not a psychotherapist.
Yeah,
I don't have any of those
absolutely.
qualifications. So maybe you're trained to do it. I'm trained to not care that much. I'm trained to not care what they say. I'm trained to not care what happens when they're there. I'm trained to not care what happens when they leave. I mean, like, I couldn't really care much less, except that,
Yeah,
like,
well, it's,
deep down.
as a therapist, it's about doing, psychosocial assessments. And
Yeah, so
it's
can that.
it's
Put
just
that in the
part of it.
trash.
Yeah.
Stop doing any assessments, period. Stop doing anything like that. You're working too hard. And the reason you're working too hard is what Karen just said, which is you're treating a symptom, you're believing about a symptom, you're assessing now the conditions of a symptom, all of which, for all you know, are fucking bullshit. So why are we investing time and energy? Now you're becoming like all of them. Now you're becoming one of them. Oh, another professional I saw who did another assessment that didn't do shit for me. Great. Exactly what I wanted. My kid said that the other day. She was like, my therapist does nothing. What happens when you believe that your therapist does nothing? They have no ability to help you. None. Even if they're the best therapist in the world, if the person believes this is bullshit and it's just one of the other people who's doing the same thing, there's no priming. So you stand out, you set yourself apart. You're like, okay, I hear that. I understand that. Okay, I've had lots of people say that before. I'm going to try something really different. Let's see what happens. Because for all you know, he comes to the session, the coughing throat thing goes away, and you didn't need to do any sprays or anything else. Well, that would be great. If it doesn't, after let's say 2-3 sessions, then you call the mom and say, I've done everything I would do with a regular customer, and this is what I think's, actually occurring. So you have to do something else. But they already did that. See, they already went to the doctor. Here, I'll end with this one. Yeah, go ahead.
So here's the rub with that. Not the rub. The difference is that I just did this is,
Yes, too soon.
before,
Yep.
like,
That's right.
he's telling you there is a physical issue and you're not believing him.
Well,
So
but she did believe him because she took him to the EMT.
And then they said that there's not a physical issue. This is all behavioral. You can change this on your own. And he's like, no, there is something there.
Right.
And I said to her, well, how do you know that there's not? Just because they're telling you that there's
Yeah,
not?
but see, after 90 minutes of ACH, if the kid is like, I feel nothing different, my nose has something in it, then you know something. I mean, like, here's another, the one I was just going to explain is this one. And I told it, I think last week or maybe a few other sessions ago, whatever. Woman, I meet a guy on the airplane. He has 2 kids. I take a photo of them because it was like the cutest thing ever. I get his number to text him the photo. I have to give him my card. Okay, so now he has my card. Stranger on an airplane. Turns out he gives this card to his wife who's back in Germany, who's on bed rest because she's had a traumatic experience at her job that has put her into some kind of fibromyalgia that nobody can explain. Okay, so she has now gone to the hospital for a 3-day assessment, 72 hours of tests. They find nothing. She can't get out of bed. She can't function. She has migraines. She has 2 small children that I met on the airplane. She can't take care of. And I mean, I met this woman on Zoom. She was a very cool, smart, educated, like me kind of person, super energetic, literally can't function. She's like, I'm desperate. I need to get out of bed. I can't. I said to her, listen, lady, I'm not a doctor. I have no clue why you have all these symptoms. That sounds terrible to me. I can't believe you spent 3 days in the hospital, whatever. I can't tell you much about that other than if you don't have a diagnosis, come in, I'll do my best. It's worked on many other people. Prime, 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 prime. First visit, I knocked a little out. Second visit, as the 90 minutes is going on, one symptom after another just disappeared. Oh, my arms feel fine now. Oh, I don't have the pain in my joints. Oh, the headache is gone. Oh, my mind is clear. Then she got up out of her chair and started to test out her body. Yeah. She was like, whoa, weird. How did you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And she's never come back. So, I mean, what are you going to say about that? I'm divine, like I'm fucking some saint or something. I mean, that's what they say. But no, that's not what it is. It's just that she got stuck in her mind on this trauma. Something happened, some series of synapses put her in some fucked up reaction that I was able to reverse. Okay. Had nothing to do with the medical field whatsoever. If I had told her anything about the medical problem, I would have been out of my league and then I would have lost my rapport with her as a hypnotist. But I mean, Cindy, the differential there was between her discovery call and her session was not very much. Was me being like, well, that sucks. Sorry to hear it. I can do it. I can't make a promise on this one. All I can do is X and Y. This is the product. And she didn't buy it off the call. She bought it like a week later after thinking it through. So that's it. I just let it go. We don't want to block anyone's miracle. I mean, like, that's a nice way of saying it. Is like, don't ever stand in the way of somebody's healing because you don't know enough about what's going on, either physically, mentally, emotionally, or anything. So, like, be the one person who could potentially be the change. If you're there in the right moment with the right question, not the right question, because we don't have right questions, but if you are that person, that's worth it. It doesn't matter what you ask them, what you think about them, anything else. All that matters is that one moment that healed them. that changed everything. That was worth way more than $2,500. Do you know how much money that lady would have paid me to take that pain away from her? I mean, $2,500 is like literally ridiculous. That should have been $20,000. That's her life. Now she can go to work and make the $20,000. That's the value that you're going for, like that big, big, big value.
Well, so now I'm in my mind, I'm like, so even if it does feel like there's something there, and even if you have been given this label
Yeah, what do I
of
care?
whatever, ADHD or these tics because you've had these behaviors, okay, and what
What do I
if
care about? Exactly.
what would what could be different?
Exactly. That's the whole thing is like,
Yeah.
okay, so none of that really did anything to help you. Let's try something
Right.
else. Yeah,
Right.
I know. Never believe the
Yeah.
story. Story is completely invented.
Fuck.
It's not, just remember this too, Cindy, is like, we're not blaming people for making up stories. We're not like saying they did something to be misleading or wrong or whatever. It's just the way the mind works. Your mind works that way. We work in a way that we justify and make things up so that we can understand ourselves. Like, look at your own problems. Isn't that true? I mean, like, I just broke up with another narcissist. I'm the expert on narcissism. Like, that's my niche. It's a program in my own mind that I'm getting better and better at. It was the best one I've had. It was the fastest I got out. It was the most, easiest one for me to heal from because I'm aware. But it's a program that I'm still unrooting, from my own mind. So we're just all like that. Your mind is what it is. It's programming a certain series of symptoms and reactions and behaviors. That's mine. His is nose stuffiness. Somebody else's is depression, whatever. They're all the same.
Yeah.
They're all just products of some whatever, I don't need to tell you because So
Well, it's
be
really
the
fucking
opportunity.
annoying. It's
Mhm.
annoying to have so many years in school and so much in
I
student
have a
loans
PhD.
for for
I
shit that doesn't fucking
have a
help.
I have a PhD. I have a PhD. The debt on my PhD exceeds $250,000. Like you're preaching to the choir. I learned a lot of
Yeah,
things.
I'm at 170, so we're
Yeah,
close.
exactly. But I'm just saying I've learned a lot of things I don't need to know. That's how I got here. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what? I learned a lot in that education about what is not working and what I don't like. And I learned a lot about how these people are studying something and not actually using it and are still unhappy. That's how I became so passionate about this. Because I'm like, look at all these experts in the mind, dry as dust, don't even know how to laugh, bored, shitless, wearing their brown clothes. Like, no, it doesn't work for me. I want something exceptional. I want an explosion. I want the fucking magic. So here I am making my own. That's it.
Hmm.
Making our own. So that's the long and short of the posture piece is just be the opportunity for the exception. That's why you're getting the big bucks. Nobody else is going to do that. Okay,
Thank you.
yes, my pleasure. You're going to do for homework. If you haven't done MOS yet, do MOS. If you haven't done before pictures, do before pictures. If you don't have a paper schedule, that's the next assignment, is either make the schedule or make a list of priorities that you want on the schedule, because I'm going to do a screen share next time. Exactly, no failure, only feedback. I'm going to do a screen share next time and show you how to work it, but you need to know your items that you want to list on it. So we'll do that. Session 4, we'll work on brand. I'm going to talk about actually creating this little mystique behind you so that you have some more marketing to create.
Please say that once more, the homework is.
Yes. Okay. The first one I think you already did was the MOS sheet of all of your cascade effects. The second one was the snapshot of your business now. I want you to assess your business now. And don't do it mentally, you guys. Go and look at your products that you have out there. Look at your website, look at your Instagram, look at all the words that are typed places. There's typos, there's mistakes, there's links that don't work, there's link trees that are missing, there's all kinds of things there. Look at them all. You don't have to change them all, just look so that you know what's ahead of you. That's number 2. Number 3 is we're going to now develop the back end. So brand is the natural next step, but I don't think we can do brand until you know how to get to work and what to do every day. So next step is going to be developing that schedule. No, it's not going to be super strict. It's going to have space to move in it, but we're going to all create one so that you have a very concrete business in front of you, and I will screen share next time and show you how I do mine, and then we'll work on brand as an item number 4. The last piece would be to get the reading. You can order it. I'll put it in the group though. It's called Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield, but I'll put a link so that you can just tap the link. Oh, I'm really reticent to share Amazon links these days and support this fucking disaster. So let me think that one through. But anyway, that's all another topic. So sorry to go over. You can always leave when you need to. You can always watch these later. Anyone who's watching on the recording, post your questions on the Facebook page. And in 2 weeks, we will have our practice session. Then we'll have another incubation session in March. So thanks for coming. Happy to see you all. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Maya. That was really
My
good.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Bye.
you.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Patrick. I didn't get to say hi to you, but bye.
Bye, Maya.